So you want to do reselling full time? There are a lot of perks to it for sure, but other things to consider. So let's talk about it. I think this video is really going to help you decide whether reselling is just a part-time gig for you or you can actually make a living doing it full time. We're going to talk about a lot of concrete things, but also some psychological things that really get people caught up in this whole is it really worth being a reseller? And at the end, we'll do some calculations together and we'll get some concrete evidence as to what it takes to do reselling full time. Personally, I think reselling is great for autonomy purposes. You get to do the stuff that you want during the time that you want at the pace that you want, but you really got to make sure it covers your living expenses. And so I want to talk about your cost of living first. And to do that, you really need to know what you are consuming each month as part of your, regular living. And so for me, I've calculated that I spend about $3,000 to $4,000 per month on mortgage, car, gas, water, electricity, internet, all of those things. And so those are going to be the basis of your cost of living. What does it take to live in a full year, and what are you trying to replace so that you can actually make a living? And if you're starting from that just as a foundation, you'll probably see that cost of living is really not all that much. But let's consider it from the perspective of someone trying to replace their salary. Let's say you're going from this salary job plus your side hustle of reselling to just reselling full time, right? You can use your cost of living as a very easy way to, set a foundation of what's the bare minimum that I need to actually live off of reselling. And then once you get to this thought exercise of what do I need to actually have a business, then you'll have to think about health insurance, dental, vision, retirement. Those are very key to what a company might actually provide for their employees. And all of those factors, along with the salary, makes up the entire total compensation package. So those are the things that you need to consider when you're going actual full time. You don't want to do reselling full time and living paycheck to paycheck because that's no way to live, y'all. We really want you to have a good foundation so that when you go full time, you'll have a great way to scale up. And so when you look at salaries anyway, those are figures before taxes. So let's just look at profits and actually consider what the profit you need to make a salary in reselling so that you can make a great wage and be able to get all of those benefits that you might not otherwise get from a traditional job. So let's talk about these factors, and I really hope that these will help you consider, is it really worth going full time doing this reselling thing? I think one of the biggest mental hurdles that people have to get past is health insurance. If you think about insurance in general, it's basically something you have just in case, right? And so with health insurance, you may consider that you might not even need it. If you're a healthy person, your family's got a great healthy record, and you don't have any kids that you need to worry about, you're only worrying about yourself, it's a full-time thing just by yourself, then you might not even need health insurance. It's not for everybody, where people tend to do a cafeteria type thing. They pick and choose what they want. If they want dental, sure. If they want vision, sure. If you even want supplemental insurance, where if you have some sort of critical illness that runs in your family, maybe that's something to consider. So there's insurance for that too. These are the considerations that you have to have. Look at your own situation and consider, is this for me? If you have other people depending on you, you might want to consider health insurance for the entire group. You might want to consider life insurance for if you pass away, if something really bad happens to you, you want to be able to take care of them, especially disability insurance, because if you're disabled and you still need a wage of some sort, then you want to protect yourself there as well. So yeah, insurance is not for everybody, and you definitely want to pick and choose what is most relevant to you. I want to encourage you to just look at the factors in your life and really think about, do I need this now or can I get it later? And just really factor those things in. And the last benefit to talk about is probably my favorite, the retirement account. That means the 401k. And on average, a company will match 3 to 4%. So really, you just have to factor that into your accounting and just make sure you're making that much more, or even more than that, to be comfortable with the idea that you are going full-time reselling, you're making this big jump, and that you can really take care of yourself, not just now, but also in the future. So with all of those numbers, you can calculate basically what you're trying to replace, and that'll give you an idea of what is this big number that I need to do, this profit amount in which reselling will profit me out of this whole year that I'm doing reselling. Will it replace what I'm leaving if, I'm leaving a corporate job or whatever? So hopefully you've got that number written down. That'll give you a great starting point. And we'll do some calculations later to see if, you can scale it up and what that takes to really make a great living. You can give yourself a raise. You don't need to have a corporate job, but reselling does take a lot of work and you can have some concrete results. We'll talk about that later. So let's talk about some mental things. And first and foremost, freedom and flexibility. You really can't put a price on that. So with reselling, there's a certain level of flexibility of just dropping everything and being able to go anywhere if you really needed to. To a certain degree, that's true, but really, I'd be hard pressed to find another gig that will, give you this amount of flexibility. You get to set your own hours, you get to sell to whoever you want or not sell to whoever you want. You have this opportunity to build it as big as you want, or, make things so efficient that you work few hours and still get good results. Just whatever you feel will make you feel successful. But let's talk about the flip side of that. Are you good at being your own boss? In my job with training and development and worker motivation, I find that some people actually need to be told what to do. And some people are really good about doing exactly what they need to get the job done, regardless of who is, telling them what to do. Some people are just built differently, They set their goals, they set their mind to it, and they're able to just really go at it and just achieve them. So you really have to know yourself, and can you really change your mind? Can you change your paradigm and shift your mindset to be one of those people who can really go for it? Because it's not for everybody. But you know what? I think you can do it. And part of motivation is about being able to do a routine, especially with reselling, right? There are so many monotonous things that you have to do and such a routine that you have to be in. Whether you're thrifting, you're cleaning, you're listing, or you're packing, a lot of these things are repetitive. And so you want to try to have some sort of routine put in place so you can put a lot of it on autopilot so that you're not using a lot of brain power. And what I mean by that is that when you're doing research for an item or you're trying to level up your game, that takes a lot of brain power. If you're using a lot of brain power to do just the listings and you're packing and you have to really fumble around, you're not using that brain energy for the most important things. And the most important things should be sourcing the best things so that you can sell those things quickly. And so the more consistent you are, the less intense you have to be. And that also means that the more consistent you are with your routine, the less intense you have to be on a weekly basis. Oh, I have to catch up, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. And the intensity of having to do that really kind of burns you out. What leads people to burnout anyway? Personally, I think that it has to do with intensity for a long period of time. And so when you're doing all of these intense activities, you're using a lot of brain power, it kind of just builds and builds and builds, and it really makes you collapse at one point or another. And so intensity is good at sometimes, but that's not the way you should be going all the time. And so to me, again, it's about consistency over intensity. Another pretty important consideration is, can you handle the loneliness? Do you need someone there to push you, maybe chat with, maybe keep you on track? Or do you just need a good podcast? Do you need maybe a pet to keep you company? That's a personal preference, I like to listen to a lot of podcasts or listen to audiobooks while I'm doing reselling stuff part-time. So I think that, when it comes to full-time reselling, there's a version of that might help me kind of combat this whole loneliness idea, but it is a real issue. Hey, have you ever considered that reselling is a skill? Now let's think about that for a second. The more you do it, the better you are. That should be the case. And so you should be building up your skill before you go full-time. And if you go reselling full-time right off the bat, you're probably going to be fumbling a little bit, but just know that you are improving. So don't be too hard on yourself. But I would argue that it is a skill. There's a lot to learn and there's a lot to know what not to pick up. And just make sure that along with all of the bolos that you're looking out for, right? Be on the lookout items that you're looking out for. There are also a lot of items that are junk. So you also have to remember all the things to not pick up so you're not wasting your time looking at these comps every single time you see this item. Let's talk about money real quick. I think people are uncomfortable talking about money. So let's be uncomfortable for a little bit. Do you have an emergency fund? Because this is probably one of the most underrated, financially, minded questions that people just don't talk enough about. An emergency fund to us is going to be about 3 months worth of expenses. And that means the cost of living that we talked about earlier, right? 3 months at the very least is probably what you're going to need if something really bad happens while you're doing full-time reselling. So you want to be able to lean on that if something were to happen at the beginning of your reselling journey full-time. You want to be able to, if you really needed to drop everything and do this other thing, you can do that and make sure that you're set, that you have this cushion that you can fall on if things don't go well. So you really need to know what your cost of living is. You can multiply that by 3. And if you really want a cushion, multiply that by 6 or even 12 months. So think about that and make sure you have a good emergency fund. And even if you're not a full-time reseller, you should have a good emergency fund. So let's say you're going from a corporate job to full-time reselling. Can you go back to your old job? That's a consideration too. Personally, I think it's better if you can't go back to your old job. That means that you have only one path to go. You have to motivate yourself to make full-time reselling just work. So psychologically, if you don't have that old job to go back to, that might actually be a good thing for you in terms of motivation. So yeah, those are a lot of conversation starters that, if I were consider going full-time, which maybe I am, I want to know for sure that I can financially and psychologically handle this going full-time. So let's take a look at that calculator and see for sure, some concrete numbers. Is this gonna work? So what we've got here is a pretty simple spreadsheet. The cells that are highlighted in green are, the places that you can enter your own data. We got here, here, and here as well. There's just a reminder that this is just for demonstration purposes. Really, it's just for estimations. So why don't we start here? We start at the salary because in theory, that's what you want to replace if you were going from, a corporate job to full-time reselling. And then all of these other things that are technically included in your salary, right? This is the total compensation package. And so let's just hypothetically do $50,000 salary. Let's do health insurance. You can look this up in the marketplace if you wanted to. I'm just estimating that it's $9,600. Dental, $120 for the year. Vision, maybe $200 for the year. And life insurance, depending on how much you get, if you want a few $100,000 of coverage in life insurance. So let's go ahead and just do $240 per year. And the supplemental insurance is, kind of an extra thing if you have an accident or hospital indemnity or critical illness, for example. These are going to be under supplemental. If you have disability insurance, which if you're going full time, maybe you should consider. And then the 401k. And something that I've put into the 401k is what the salary amount is times 3%, because for my company, it's a match of 3%. And so generally it's, 50 cents up to 6%. And that's equal to this 3% that you see here. And so the total sums up all these numbers here. It makes it a little easier for you. And so this is your total compensation package. I don't know that a lot of resellers actually talk about total compensation package in clear-cut numbers like this. I want you to be able to see this is exactly what you need to replace. And so if you do anything more than that, then you're doing better. Let's set a goal to do better. Let's set a goal for, 100,000, or if you wanted to, you can do 80 or whatever. But for now, let's do a lofty goal of 100,000. You're a 6-figure reseller, and this is the desired salary that you want. And remember, this is pre-tax, right? And there are some notes here that says that this is all of your reselling net profits per year. And then when you go down here, I've went ahead and put 2 extra little things here. This is going to be your gross number, 120,000 if you're primarily on Poshmark, and 113,000 on eBay. And this is considering Poshmark's current fees and eBay's current fees. And by the way, this calculator is free to use. I'm going to make it available in the description and in the comment down below, the first comment pinned. So I want you to be able to use this and, make an informed decision. So I'm gonna make it free. You can pay whatever you want, but you can really put just $0 if you want to in that little box when you go to quote unquote purchase it. And what I'm gonna do is update this if there's anything more that I need to add, or if there are any advancements to this calculator that I'm going to add in the future. So make sure you're using the most updated one. When you go to purchase this calculator for free, you will see that, this makes a copy. It forces you to make a copy of the spreadsheet. So you'll be safe from, messing anything up. Don't worry about messing anything up. It's going to make a copy. And even if you do, just let me know if there's something wrong with the system. I'm gonna have a backup anyway, so it doesn't really matter all that much. And so moving on, let's go into monthly net profit. So what it's basically calculating is this desired salary divided by 12, which is your monthly amount that you want to profit. And so that gives you a pretty clear-cut number. It calculates it by itself for you. And here, this is something you fill in yourself. This is average profit per item. You have your own data. Hopefully you're keeping track of all of this. and you know what your average profit per item is, or at least I'm hoping, right? And so the better you are, hopefully the higher this number is, but sometimes it's just gonna be $20. So why don't we go ahead and change this to 20? And so this is going to recalculate for you automatically. This is telling you how many items you need to sell per month with a $20 average. And so this tells you that you need to be selling about 417 items per month. And right here, it makes it a little easier. You need to sell about 14 items per day at $20 profit. And remember, this number is profit, and so it's minus fees and other goods such as shipping and whatnot if you have any of those to calculate into it. And down here, I added something. Let's say you have your data, which hopefully you do. A simple way to determine your recent sell-through rate is you take your typical average per month, you take the number of items sold divided by the total amount you currently have in your store. So let's say you sold 100 items last month and you still have 400 items in your store. That's 25% sell-through rate. So you can change this to 25%. And let's see what it calculates. What this number is showing you is that you need this amount of items in your store to reach that goal up there based on your sell-through rate and your average profit per item. And so it's taking into consideration a lot of things on a monthly basis, right? This is what you need on a monthly basis. And that kind of considers how many items you're picking up, right? If you're only selling 25%, that means you're picking up a lot more items based on this monthly number that you need to try to get to. And so if you want to decrease the amount of items you have, that means you need to increase your sell-through rate. Even better, if you have a 50% sell-through rate, that means you'll only need about 834 items in your store to actually hit that goal consistently. And so you're selling items on average $20 profit. You have, 417 items selling each month, or 14 items per day. And this is how you make $100,000. I mean, it's math, but also it takes a lot of work. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of, what it takes to actually get there. And just for fun, I put on the right side take home pay. This is based on a 30% tax rate, which I don't know that you will be paying a 30% tax rate. Most people are not paying nearly a total of 30% tax rate. And so you just need to talk to a tax professional or just understand the tax code a little better. This is very conservative, $70,000. If you're profiting $100,000, this is probably what you're going to be paying yourself, about $70,000 after taxes. So it's pretty good. Anyway, I really hope this video has helped you really think about what's important in trying to make a decision on going full-time. Now, this is a really big decision for a lot of people. It's not just about money, it's about the time and freedom and all of that, the flexibility in getting to do what you want at the pace that you want, with whatever time that you have. And so I hope that it's helped you in some way. If it has, please hit that like button for me and make sure that this is getting to other people. Please share it to someone who, is considering maybe going full time. This is what people need to know, the concrete numbers in what they really need to be selling to make a full-time living. So hopefully this has helped you, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more of this type of content. We're going to be coming out with a lot more thought-provoking content, more high-quality content for you. So hit that subscribe button so that you know when we come out with more content. Hit that bell notification too so that it notifies you when we come out with new content. We do a lot of what sold videos, we do hauls and whatnot. We really want to see that your business is growing and that your reselling is doing well. And, we're cheering for you, and we'll see you later.